I don't want to go to college right away.
U of M, baby. Sister was complaining about how the good jobs didn't stay good at U of M and MSU kids, but like told her, that's like comparing apples to oranges. One's significantly better.
I don't care. If you cannot economically, if you cannot affect me economically, I don't care about your opinion.
Okay. What are we talking about exactly? So should we thank people?
Welcome back. Lights back on.
Thank you
For
being a part
of
That's 2 words.
just
Keep it
go
going.
with it. Yeah,
A part. Oh wait, did you say up?
we're restarting.
Thank you
For
being a
donor
and contributing. Thank you
for
being a
valuable
contributor to
our
fabulous endeavors.
we
Would like
to
reach out
and
let all
of
you know
that
we greatly
appreciate
you.
All right, I think that's good. Overall, even the bus trip though ain't gonna live with the bus.
It's gonna live with
It's gonna live with us.
Definitely showering on a soccer field and then running pretty much butt naked around until we dried off. And Joe never put pants on after that point for the rest of the trip.
It's true.
I'd say a highlight was driving through Yosemite. That will never leave my mind ever. The genuine fear that I think was shared among all 3 of us.
No, you were fearful, and
I laid on
me
the
and Matt were
floor.
cognitively dissonant.
What
That
the-
trip, the whole trip ran on cognitive dissonance.
Explain what
Not
that means.
believing it was happening.
So you know the dangers and what can happen, like in Yosemite, but you kind of just have to shut it out and ignore it and pretend that everything's okay. Mine, I don't think it's necessarily a highlight, but it's definitely an underrated part of the trip because I don't think we had much footage of it, just because it was at nighttime. But the night of July 4th, driving into Salt Lake City was actually really cool. And just kind of riding around the city with the scooters. I found out that the brakes of the scooter are on the front for a little while. But yeah, just to drive into the city at night with all the fireworks was pretty cool. We tried to get some videos, but it was like the camera lens only goes out so wide, and it just looked lame on camera. But it was really cool, just kind of driving in there.
What day did we pull off onto that farm road? When we
That
just
was-
laid under for the
That was
bus?
before Salt Lake. That was like
Yeah,
the
that was
second
like the
night
second
or
day.
third day.
That was cool. You wanna go first?
Honestly, the lowest point was,
We all have a shared one.
yeah, definitely. Well, I can go over the first one. Is the bus breaking down in Jackson, Michigan? That was definitely the lowest point of the whole
We
trip.
met Mitch though. Mitch was cool.
Oh yeah, never forget Mitch if
We
you're
love you,
watching
Mitch.
this.
I think in Jackson, it was really disheartening because we knew that so many people out there were, already invested with actual money. But yeah, they were very excited to follow us on the journey and for it to end an hour and a half away from home. I felt like we couldn't show our face at Fraser if we didn't make it past
Yeah.
that point. I drove over the Golden Gate Bridge, over the Hoover Dam, through Omaha, through Salt Lake City, through Yosemite, and
Yeah,
I didn't
Luke
hit
tanked
anything.
that whole trip.
I didn't hit a thing. We did like 80% between us, I'd say,
I didn't drive that much.
which was fine. It worked out. Having 3 people was a savior.
I was more support.
Yeah, he was there. Or we were all kind of, you know,
When I
had
was
our strengths, had our weaknesses. Matt's weakness,
I
not
hated
weakness.
cities.
It was just driving anywhere but
right.
farmland.
Yeah.
Basically,
The whole
open
trip,
roads was Matt's.
there's 3 things I was doing: driving, exploring with them 3, or sleeping. I was never awake like on the bus when we were driving through, like
That's
basically,
facts.
because the heat,
So
gotta
bad.
sleep through it.
Very hot, so nothing's
Makes it more bearable. But yeah.
I don't remember. There's blank periods in my mind when I remember we look at the GPS and it would say 12 hours from here to there, and we're like, oh yeah, like 12 hours. That's gonna be the whole day. And then I only remember leaving. I remember that point of seeing 12 hours, and I remember being at the destination. The 12 hours in the middle is such. It's like
It
a
takes
wall.
forever while it's happening, but then when it's done, it's done. So I don't know, I kind of have to think about what another low point was. I mean, there's definitely some lower points, but I feel like that overall was the biggest one. And then, I mean, we had some bumps here and there, but it was just kind of.
Yeah, nothing was too.
You know, I'll talk about one. So yeah, the next, it's actually another big low point for us was when the engine started whirring. That was after we left. I remember driving out of Lincoln that night and then starting back up after in the Walmart parking lot. We started driving and we just hear this whirring sound, and you know, we're still so early in the trip. This was, I believe,
It was like a fourth.
That was
it was the
before-
third day. It was
Yeah, that was
third
before
day.
we even got to
Yeah,
Wyoming.
it was the 3rd day, and you know, it was already still, the trip was super premature. We still didn't get to do much, and we were already having issues again. And
we were a little low on coolant, so we topped off there because there was like a whirring sound after I started slowing down on the freeway, and then
I was just really worried. And at this point, if anything ended up happening, like if anything ended up being as bad as the steering pump, we were just completely screwed. Yeah.
I specifically remember being in Texas. Okay, so we were sitting in Texas and we saw this Radiator Springs looking gas station. I'm sure we probably put it in the video. So Matt's like, yeah, we gotta pull over. Matt's first time driving in 2 days probably. So we're like, yeah, we gotta pull over and check this out. Thank God we did, because we put it in park, we get out to check it out, we get back, and we look under the bus, and the hose that we decided to jerry rig before the trip had popped. And so me and Joe walked about a quarter mile to this auto parts store while Matt was just chilling with the bus trying to figure out.
Random guy was like really interested, but he was living in like a 30-foot camper and was kind of flexing about how he had plasma TVs
And he had
stuff.
dreads.
And
Yeah,
also
right.
had air conditioning.
Anyway,
Cool.
once that problem happened, I think we had like 2 or 3 days. We were supposed to have like 5 days left at this point, but yeah, as you know, the trip was cut short because we just
Hate St. Louis.
just too fast. But once that happened, we got it fixed, and the buses never ran so smoothly
Ever
ever.
house in and out in 6
Yeah.
months.
I think ideally, normally we were probably planning to come home sometime midday Sunday, most likely. And we actually came in early Saturday morning, so we only cut the trip short by like 30 hours approximately. And that's just because we skipped St. Louis. And I think the main part why we kind of tried to gun it ahead was because the bus wasn't reliable. So, you know, anytime you had a trip and it would say 5 hours, you could expect to drive at least 6, sometimes 7 hours with the bus, especially if you have to stop and there's any issue, and we had to do inspections. So one thing I would definitely recommend on a trip like this is like make sure what you have is reliable, or at least reliability is super valuable, because it lets you stick to like a plan even if it's super loose. Like we didn't really have anything planned, but just any issues with the bus, create, you know, anything with timing in that aspect, you know, going across the country, you know, good luck, buddy. Like
San Francisco's over right there.
oh yeah, San Francisco's like Slovakia.
It's a ghost town.
We saw like 2 people, and both of them either did something to make somebody else's life worse or just complained. The first person yelled at us about not understanding what his single cone in the middle of the sidewalk meant.
Yeah.
And the other one backed his Prius into a car parked on the street and kind of just didn't know what to do about it.
San Francisco is interesting. This might be my home in a couple of years. I don't want to live here.
I haven't seen any people. I've only seen cars.
I'm going to Pasadena and working at JPL. This is too much for me.
You also paid like what, $17 for a sandwich?
No, it's 25.
I Venmoed
Because
you
you owe- I have it.
$24
Yeah,
that's
after,
right, that's right.
after a tip,
Yeah.
from what I remember. It's on my Venmo history.
Yeah, it's in my notes too. I was like, Matt owes me for Parkside Tavern sandwich or something like
Is that what
that.
it's called?
We're here at the Parkside Tavern in San Francisco.
I don't want
You should take the bus somewhere next summer.
Yeah.
So early October, sitting in my gym class, me and Nick were there.
Shout out Heston.
And me and Nick were talking about how we should, take a group trip, like a summer trip, because, young, reckless. And so we made like this group chat, and we were like, with Luke, and we were like, what do we want to do? We want to do something like out of the box, And we were talking about like national parks. We said Yellowstone at first because we thought that, and we actually got Yosemite and Yellowstone mixed up at first. And so we looked it up, and we saw that Yosemite was actually in California. So we kind of set our sights on that. And then we kind of like the conversation died down for a bit. And a week or two later, Luke goes, "Guys, I have an idea. Like a really, really good idea."
What you say before you have a really dumb boy teenage idea?
We were kind of all just like, what's he gonna say, whatever. And he just kind of sends a picture of a short bus.
Our Aussie out in
Uh-huh.
San Francisco, the world's hottest disco.
Hottest disco.
You can talk about that bidding project.
So I suggest this bus thing, and right out the back, right away is like, I don't know, man. Like that would be so cool. Like this and that. And Matt too. You were not on board right
No,
away.
because at first, I was like, I thought it was gonna be a fortune.
Yeah. So anyway, the way I kept on pitching it to them, this is like the very first day of the bus idea. I was like, just picture sitting on a cliff on the roof of your very own school bus. That was like the thing. That, for some reason, that made so much sense to me, but nobody else understood it yet. And so I finally talked him into it. Like, all right, Matt, like let's get it together. We'll get the bus together and we'll worry about a third for the trip. I was like, it'll be easier this way. And so, we weren't sure if Nick was going yet at this point. We came up with the bus, and a couple nights later, I invite Matt over, and Nick was busy. So Matt and I stay up all night in my basement,
Working on homework, of course.
homework. So we planned. I have a whiteboard still. I'm gonna show a picture of it.
Big old whiteboard, like
I have a picture right here.
6 foot by 4 foot.
Right here. There's a picture of it. You can't see me. So we can do anything. Okay, anyway. We project a cost. We come up with our destinations that we'd like to hit, our points of interest. We come up with the whiteboard all figured out, and then I'm like, all right, we should pitch this to our parents.
I found out my mom was like going daily, so it wasn't too big a deal, and she hit me with the, "You're 18, so you can do what you want," even though she didn't think I was serious. She kind of just thought I was joking around. So luckily I didn't actually have to present it to my parents.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds unnecessarily expensive, and it seems like a lot of work. And I'm a lazy person. Let's be honest.
You
And, so I just kind of teetered and tottered, and I was like, we really could just go in like my mom's minivan. Like, the sleeping situation wouldn't be as comfortable, but we could probably. And I mean, I think it's possible. But you probably need more space for 3 people.
The bus worked out.
Yeah, the bus worked out fine. Some of the concerns I have did come to fruition, like breaking down and stuff. But I mean, it was running fine beforehand, so. But yeah, I had a bunch of money from math competitions and effects, but
You MVP.
But yeah, so I had some cash, and I didn't go on a spring break for my senior year. Instead, I worked my first job, made really good bank actually, not gonna lie. And besides that, asking my parents to go on the trip, I never did. I just told them that I'm thinking about going on this trip. I believe that's how I phrased it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then later on, I was like, yeah, I really think I'm gonna go on this trip. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going on this trip.
Joe's grandma gave him a butt ton of money,
Not actual term.
and I don't know, because I feel that makes me uncomfortable with the think that, like, your grandma probably thought that money was going to college. Okay, we'll leave it there. It's hilarious. Sorry, Graham.
Sorry,
Graham. I'm going to Cali, boys.
Yeah. And I'm generally a full sender on a whim. Love you, Graham.
Thanks, Graham.
Thank you, Graham.
Yeah, please
Shout out,
include
Graham.
on,
A more sincere thank you. Thanks to everyone who donated.
Yep.
We definitely couldn't have done it without you.
And to everyone who watched and supported through the Facebook and all that, like I said, it was much more fun to share it with you guys. It was fun sharing with these guys, but sharing with all you guys. Shout out Scott Finley,
Yeah.
one of our #1 supporters. All you guys though, everyone.
Yeah, and to our parents. I mean, and again, I never really asked my parents if I could go, but they could have said no, and I don't know if I would have respected their decision, but they still could have said no. So yeah.
Thank you.
We're all going on to another chapter of our lives. It's pretty scary.
Let us know if you made it this far. If you did, just comment U of M baby, you know, the usual.
That wasn't a firework.
No.
Something just blew up.
Someone's tire just opened up.
That wasn't a tire.
That wasn't a tire.
It's like a
Something burned.
gas tank or something. Alright. Yeah. Just let us know. Do you like us? Do you like the bus? Be honest. If you like us, maybe
Give your rating out of 5.
out of 5.
Out of 5. We don't even do 10s here.
Yep. So
You can
5.
decimal places are allowed. One
Only to
decimal
the-
place.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
to the first significant
No.
figure.
That's 2 significant figures.
Alright. U of M baby.
U of M baby.
Spell it out with the U of M baby.
Just like monarchs. That's not actually a thing. Make Macomb your home. That's also not a thing.
Alright.
Alright.
Alright, so we have to walk towards the camera
That
in
would've-
slow motion.
That wouldn't make sense because Macomb is already their home.